Welcome to Wesley Impact. Wesley Mission can trace its roots back to the first gathering of Methodists 209 years ago in Sydney, and we continue as a word and deed mission to this day. Through our congregational life, we continue to spread the good news of the gospel, and our community services are a practical expression of care for all people. To us, the two go hand in hand. The work we do in the community is guided by our faith, and our faith is practically demonstrated through our work that we do. Across New South Wales, we have a presence in city, urban, regional and rural areas, and a team of over 2,300 staff and more than 4,000 volunteers. Being new to Wesley Mission, I made it a priority to visit some of our staff in rural and regional areas to see the work we do firsthand and to invite our team to contribute to our strategic plan for the next 2 years. Now, 30% of our work takes place in regional areas, and today I'd like to share with you the second part of my travels, visiting and meeting our staff across northern New South Wales. I caught a plane to one of our regional centres in northern New South Wales, Ballina. 30% of Wesley Mission's work takes place in regional areas across New South Wales and Australia. So the second part of this trip, it's extremely important.
My second time to Ballina, so that's a pretty good ratio, I reckon. See if we can keep that strike rate up. This is a really passionate organisation, and you are an amazingly passionate team of people, passionate about our vision and our mission to do all the good we can because every life matters, passionate about the people you serve alongside and the camaraderie you have together, and passionate particularly about the people we serve.
I continue to encourage staff to share their thoughts on areas of improvement across Wesley Mission, especially in relation to extending our impact, energising our communities and building a healthier organisation.
Rest assured, every post-it note is read, recorded and is fed back into the process, and there are some emerging themes already, and I'm really keen to hear what comes out of Ballina.
I think it's great to have some input into, I guess they've got the healthier organisation. That's certainly an area that I can appreciate, having worked in this field for over 7 years now, and seeing the workload and the passion that our staff have, anything that can help support them do their jobs better and keep them in the roles and supporting the community better, that's always good.
The idea to increase our business presence in the regions, I think it's been so focused in Sydney for so long. I think the idea to extend that out into the regions is a really good thing.
At the workshops, in addition to asking our team to share their ideas and stick post-it notes on the walls, we also asked them to share their long-term vision for Wesley Mission, so important. We then created paper planes and threw them across the room as a way of sharing our vision with each other. I never knew we had such aeronautical engineers in our team.
Number 5 of our 9 workshops here at Ballina, the surf sounding in the background, feel like I'm home in southeast Queensland. It's been fantastic as our team have come together, out of home care, aunties and uncles home care, and we've heard together and explored together what the future might look like for us. Can't wait to draw it all together. You know, we are a very diverse organisation, regionally, so geographically, but also in terms of the things that we do. And increasingly what we're recognising that part of the secret sauce, if you can, of Wesley Mission moving forward is how do we collaborate across areas so that we're not just working as silos, but how do we collaborate in such a way that we can support and enhance the work that we do, or even find new things that we can offer and serve our clients with.
It's interesting that we're all from different programs here today, and I find that the way we've come together and we have some commonality in what we think and what we feel, I think that's probably the best thing so far.
It's not just a forum where I'm being talked at, I'm actually going to be listened to, have an input, have a say, and I'm passionate about what I do.
A few decades ago it would have been very different, but around 30% of our work now is outside of Sydney City. And so increasingly we're engaged in the regions. I can only best serve you as you serve others as we hear from you, and that's what these workshops are all about. These are a critical part of the equation for us. The really exciting thing for me is that more than 300 of us are going to engage in these conversations, and that's incredibly powerful as we form and shape our future direction together. So thank you for leaning into this. I need to acknowledge and note and say that we've heard loud and clear, particularly through the voice survey last year, that this last year has stretched us like no other.
At the workshops, I also shared parts of our new brand campaign.
Find out more at wesleymission.org.au. We are here for you.
7 of the 9 workshops we're doing in regional centres, and there's a message even in that. We want to hear from you.
I actually feel really appreciated as an employee, just the CEO and all these beautiful people coming together with the same goal to our regional areas.
It's nice for us to be able to have some impact that's positive about what our community needs, you know, and what our participants and clients need locally.
We started last Monday in Gosford and Newcastle, then Blacktown on Wednesday, then Wollongong on Friday, then Tuesday Ballina and Grafton, Coffs Harbour yesterday, Taree today, then Pitt Street tomorrow afternoon. Resilience. This is particularly apt for you here in Taree. Floods, fires, COVID, working in a region which has a lot of challenges. Thank you for going above and beyond and for serving this community so exceedingly well through what has been a really difficult, really challenging season.
For me, I'd like to be able to tell people about Wesley Mission that we are going to work closely with the First Nations people and the community that I work in, and that we're culturally appropriate.
We never run out of energy. We're always trying to find new ways to reach more people and do more good, while we look after our own people and bring out the best in them for the greater good.
It's really easy in an organisation where there's 2,411 staff, a $250 million budget, more than 100 sites, more than 60 different service programs, etc., for us to stick in our teams and not see the opportunity that we have day in, day out to actually collaborate with other teams, with other people.
The contributions of our staff will influence our strategic plan and direction over the next 2 years and beyond here at Wesley Mission.
In 2 years' time, I'd like to be able to tell people how much we've expanded in our programs and the impact that we've been able to have in our local community.
In 2 years' time, I would like to see more senior management roles in the regional areas.
In the next 2 years, I'd like them to be known across Australia as leaders, as a non-government organisation.
I would love to be able to say that no matter what your background is, no matter where you've come from, that Wesley Mission will walk alongside you wherever you are on your journey.
In 2 years' time, I'd like to say we've increased our service capacity to supporting more Indigenous people in different remote areas, and I think with Stu and the strategic plan moving forward, we're going to be doing that.
I'd love to be able to tell people that we've extended our Kickstart program up here, which is a really exciting initiative, and to be able to potentially extend that to another house or two in the region would be amazing.
In 2 years' time, I'd like to tell people what I tell them now. It's the greatest organisation I've ever worked for. The impact we have on the community is amazing, and I just want to extend that, and I hope to see that in 2 years' time.
Every CEO and superintendent at Wesley Mission was surrounded and supported by dedicated people who were committed to our word and deed ministry. I've seen this and experienced it firsthand, and I'm so grateful for the contribution of each and every person who I had the privilege of interacting with over the past 2 weeks.
Here's the most important thing I will do today. is to say this: thank you. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for the way in which you do it. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for the seen and unseen things. Thank you for leaning into this process. Thank you for supporting your teammates. Thank you for going above and beyond and for serving this community so exceedingly well, and for really joining together around our mission and our vision to continue the work of Jesus Christ in word and deed, and to do all the good we can, because every life matters.
If you would like to learn more about Wesley Mission, visit wesleymission.org.au. You can find help in our community services, connect with our church and congregations, discover a volunteer role that suits you, stay up to date on the latest news and information, donate to support our work, and help make a positive difference in your community. You can also connect with us on social media and subscribe to receive the latest news and information about Wesley Mission directly into your inbox. Visit wesleymission.org.au.
We'd love to connect with you if we can be of help to you or a loved one in any way. Contact details are on the screen now. Last week, we saw the first part of my conversation with Danny and Leila Abdallah from earlier this year. Danny and Leila tragically lost 3 of their children when they were hit by a drunk driver as they walked to their local shops to buy ice cream. The tragedy made headlines across Australia and around the world, and Danny and Leila's grief is undeniable. Last week, I spoke to them about their initial reactions to hearing the news. We'll pick up the conversation today when I asked them how they managed to cope with their grief. Leila, you're wearing a badge today, memorialising your beautiful children. Tell us about the loss, the sense of loss that you carry with you.
We've lost a lot. Even the whole tragedy for us, losing our kids felt like a Good Friday to us, and the funeral felt like the resurrection for us. In the midst of losing our kids on this earth, we still have the peace of knowing our kids are in heaven, where we all aim to be. So our loss is great on this earth, but I look at it as a big gain in the next life, in the eternal life and in heaven.
Soon after the terrible tragedy, you stunned the nation, both of you, when you very publicly announced that you forgave the driver of the car that struck and took the life of your children. And it begs the question, why? Why forgive? And I think there are many people across our nation would love to hear your answer to that question. Why forgive?
We forgave him because it is part of our identity and who we are. And as Christian, forgiveness is the core of our faith. It's part of our Easter message to the world. And Jesus' last word was, "Forgive them, Father, for they do not know what they are doing." And when I got on the scene and I saw how hard it was, my natural reaction was to forgive. We forgave him for us more than it's for him. Forgiveness, it's a sign of strength.
Danny, recently you met at a sentencing hearing the driver and his dad. Tell us about that. What was that like?
We were on March 9th was his sentencing. So Leila, myself and Liana chose to go as well. We went to court. We were there with our family, our extended family, and we all wrote a victim impact statement. There was Bob, Veronique's father, Bridget, the mother of Veronique as well, Craig, Bridget's partner, myself, Leila, and Michael, Veronique's brother. So we all got to meet the driver. We were able to speak in front of him. But what we saw, I think all of us unanimously said, we saw a kid and we realised he really made a big mistake, and we could see the remorse in him. He was crying the whole time. And then Liana, I remember she said to my brother's wife, Tina, does he have to get a long sentence? I feel sorry for him. And as a parent, I feel like that we've done our job. We've gave our kids, we've taught them how to be compassionate and how to love and how to forgive. And it comes back down to when Leila was able to forgive, and that attitude from the beginning till now. As you were telling me before, there's generational curses, but there is generational blessings as well. So that was good. And then I met the father, Alan, and he's a broken man, just like me. He lost his daughter, and now he's lost his son. He seems like a very nice man. They look like a good family. He's a police officer. He's a retired police officer, and his family seemed like a complete family and a loving family. So we pray for them as well.
And Leila, after you read out your victim impact statement, you were outside the court, and God gave you a sign of his presence, even in those really emotional circumstances. Tell us about that.
Before I read my victim impact statement, I knelt down and I prayed. And after reading my victim impact statement, I went back to my seat, I knelt down, and I was praying again. And when I opened my eyes, I saw a cross right in front of me at the pew at the court. Is it called at the pew?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
In the chairs.
Yeah, in the bench there.
In the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the bench at the court case. And I felt that God is truly speaking to me. And to add to Danny, forgiveness gets passed to your kids through your actions. When your kids see you forgiving and see you living that forgiveness and that faith, it's automatically get passed to your kids, and they can eventually pass it on to their kids. So you are what you do, not what you say.
That's very powerful. Leila, tell us about how you're doing today. How are you feeling? How's the journey continuing for you?
I live mixed emotions. As a mom, of course, I miss my kids every day. They are all the time in my mind. As you can see, I've got a necklace ASA for the kids, and I've got their picture. They're always in my heart, and they are always with me. But as a woman of faith, I believe my kids are in heaven. They are in the best place they could possibly be. And to be honest with you, no one can escape death. It is part of our life, and it's something so important to be prepared to, because it can't be avoided. And how do you prepare? By loving, by being faithful, by living out your values in life, like humility, forgiveness, faith. When you spend your time wisely, where it matters, and making the right choices in life, because any wrong choice can not only affect you, but can affect people who are around you, like that driver choice has affected families.
Forgiveness is not just an event, it's a process. How are you going on that forgiveness journey yourselves?
We're truly forgiven him, and our forgiveness has allowed God to work through our life and to show us signs and to carry us through it.
One of the other things that has emerged out of this terrible tragedy is the establishment of I Forgive Day, and you publicly launched that on the first anniversary of the children's death, and had the Prime Minister Scott Morrison there and some other leaders, and I think again captured the imagination of our nation. Tell us about why I Forgive Day and about the process leading up to that and what you hope to achieve through it.
Well, imagine the closest Sunday to the 1st of February, all churches, all denominations, we all have that in common, preach the message of forgiveness, of Christ, how he forgave us, and we go back and remember those four beautiful children.
We will see the third and final part of my conversation with Danny and Leila Abdallah next week, when we discuss the establishment of I Forgive Day, which will be on the 1st of February each year going forward. I'm so pleased to hear that Leila has recently been recognised as the 2021 Mother of the Year, acknowledging the love she continues to show to her children and the tireless work she is doing in Australia and around the world to promote forgiveness. I've seen and experienced that firsthand.
I think people are amazing. We can turn dark to light. We can fly through storms. We can change worlds, but we can't always do it alone. If you need help, we could work together. Find out more at wesleymission.org.au. We are here for you.
Last week we saw the first of a 6-part series sharing my vision for Wesley Mission. I preached this sermon earlier this year during our 2021 Vision service in Wesley Theatre. I began by talking about our vision to continue the work of Jesus Christ in word and deed. This week I share a little bit more about how we can do that.
A few years ago I read of a story of some activists in the US city of San Francisco. About a year or so before they became active, the council in the city of San Francisco decided to remove the fruit-bearing trees that lined the city streets. these fruit-bearing trees were dropping fruit onto the ground, which was then attracting rodents, which were then becoming a problem. And so the city decided, in its wisdom, to remove the fruit-bearing trees and replace them with ornamental fruit trees. Problem gone. But these activists, it is San Francisco after all, these activists decided that wasn't to be. And so, calling themselves the Guerrilla Grafters, they would sneak out in the dead of night, they would go to these ornamental fruit trees and they would graft in fruit-bearing branches. The only sign of it being a little bit of black tape to hold the graft in place. And eventually, of course, these sterile, these dead ornamental fruit trees began, surprisingly, to bear fruit. And I love the catchphrase, the motto, the mission statement of the Guerrilla Grafters. It was simply this: undoing civilization one branch at a time. Our mission, the mission of Jesus, is to graft His life, His love, His mercy, His grace into a world that's been deadened by sin and injustice, and to see green sprouts of life bloom wherever those grafts come. This is the work we are called to continue, to graft the life of God into the forgotten and forsaken places, to see green shoots of justice, mercy and grace sprout forth. And again, my observation in the 3 months I've been with you is I see this story, these green sprouts, these grafted in signs of life repeated over and over and over again across the Wesley Mission story. I mean, this week I had my first board meeting. And for that board meeting, Wesley Community Services board meeting, I had to read 178 pages of board reports. That's a lot, folks. 178 pages. Can I say it's a little bit tempting to skim over some parts? And it would have been very easy for me to skim over just 3 stories that were listed in the report that Lisa and Nigel wrote for our community housing team. But there in that report was this story. Ruby was housed in one of our transitional housing properties in Sydney and supported by Wesley Mission Specialist Homeless Services. Ruby was at the end of her transitional tenancy and an alternative offer had not been received through housing. One of the team offered a property in southwest Sydney. She was reluctant at first, but the team member encouraged her to come and have a look. And a few years ago, Ruby accepted the property and moved in. Not long after, Ruby fell pregnant and was concerned whether she would be able to keep the baby, given her other children had been removed from her care. Referrals were made to other Wesley Mission services, and the community housing team supported her with referrals to organisations to support her with a new baby, such as the Dandelion Support Network. We also regularly checked in with Ruby, how her appointments were going, and with the hospital to support her, to demonstrate her ability to care for the baby. Ruby gave birth and is now residing close to her family and with her baby. That is just one story. A green shoot. Life where there was a sense of hopelessness and despair. My friends of Wesley Mission, wherever you are, whatever you do, whatever service or support you provide, whatever congregation you are a member of, we are together. We're guerrilla grafters. We're renewing our world, continuing the work of Jesus Christ in word and deed with one act of kindness, one word of truth and grace, one commitment not to give up at a time. That is who we are and who we are called to be. This is our mission. This is your work. Together we're grafting life and love into the forgotten and forsaken places.
Next week, I'll continue this series when I unpack my thoughts around what it means to pursue our mission in the years ahead. How we can be a people with hearts softened by the compassion of Jesus, minds focused on working for justice, feet prepared to embody the good news wherever we are called, and hands ready to extend God's love to all. We want to make a real difference in the world around us. And we'll do that by connecting with one person at a time, because it's all about the one. If Wesley Mission can be of help to you or a loved one in any way, please get in touch. Our contact details are on the screen now. I hope you'll be able to join me next week for the final instalment of my conversation with Danny and Leila Abdallah and the introduction of I Forgive Day. Every blessing to you and to those you love. See you next week.